I remember when I got my driver's license. First day I had my driver's license. I began driving. I just drove really fast on one road. It's a back road. There's nobody around, but I drove too fast. And I got to the point where I started to like get excited by the speed, something that did not become addictive by any capacity. But then I began to get this huge boner.
It's not where I thought that was
never forget
going.
it. Welcome back to Oops the Podcast.
All right, lots to unpack here.
I got something for you.
Please. Julio, I don't know where you came up with that idea.
Dude, this guy was a huge turkey.
What is this, Japan? Which is one of the reasons why I hadn't told you about it.
No, and I also just assumed you were saving it for the pod if you were going to tell me.
Yeah.
Which, of course you were.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we're back. Oops the Podcast. Welcome. We, at this point, are right around the 5 million download mark. We just want to say thank you for hanging with us, your patronage, being fun and awesome. And send us your emails, oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. We've been starting to get more questions about where to send the email, which reminded me that perhaps we haven't been hammering it home enough
Oh, geez.
what that email is, in fact.
Did you just switch from one Olympics hat to another? No.
I did switch hats. One color.
Hey, will you hand me that green one? Then now we can be Easter Bunny boys.
Easter Bunny boys. Francis, how you doing, pal?
Ooh, this is fun. Hat guys.
Hat day.
Hats.
Hat day. You gotta.
No,
There
gotta
you go.
tilt it up the way you do.
There you go, big fella.
Whoa. Couple of hat boys.
Did I ever tell you guys about the best flight companion that I've ever had? Did I mention that story?
No.
I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. If I did, stop me. But I was on a flight and I was sitting next to this guy he had his arms within the armrests, and you could tell he was doing it to be considerate, which I thought was sweet. At one point in the flight, he began to nod off a little bit, and he started to kind of come in the direction of me. And then the second his shoulder made contact with me, he woke up immediately and was like, "I'm really sorry." And I was like, "Dude, you're good."
Use me.
Fast forward to like 12 hours later. I'm not even kidding. It was a long.
Where the hell were you going?
This is when I went to Portugal and my shit got all changed. So we had a really long layover in the Azores, or however we say that. And on the next flight, I see the guy again. He was on the same flight, and as he's walking by, he stopped to apologize for falling on me earlier on the flight before.
Jesus.
I was like, dude, you are an A+ individual.
Yeah, maybe.
It's overkill.
That might be too much.
He didn't owe me anything, but he was really embarrassed and just a nice guy, considerate guy.
He could be lying.
What do you mean?
Well, to be that over the top, that's the kind of thing where he says, "Okay, well, thank you for being so considerate and understanding." And then you say, something, buddy, I like the cut of your jib. Give me your email. And then you guys start emailing, and then he asks you for a loan.
Okay, fine, but that didn't happen, and I couldn't pick this guy out of a lineup. There was no reason to suspect we might cultivate a friendship.
You don't know that you're not going to hear from him soon.
How?
Hey, man, it's just
Remember
that guy
me?
who,
Fell on you.
really sorry again for brushing against your shoulder. So I'm building a new house.
I keep falling on people, man, and I'm trying to get to the root of the problem. My insurance doesn't cover the visit.
Yeah, the cost of timber. So
That's
just wondering if there's any chance you could throw me a loan.
Well, that's that.
Should I wear this hat backwards? Would that be cool?
It might give it a shot. I suspect it might not. It does actually look pretty sick, dude.
Does it?
Wow. Yeah, it does. It does.
My
look
backwards hat, bro?
You might be.
Damn.
You might be.
I never knew.
Looks pretty good. I feel like I don't know. Like,
Let's see.
Hillary likes it on me,
Let's see.
but I kind of feel like I don't like it that much. I just don't like backwards hats, really, especially in the dad hat era with this little tail, this little forward nose.
Okay, well, you can go forwards and I'll go backwards, and we'll meet in the middle somehow.
All right, I'm going forward.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, do you have any? I was thinking about this question earlier, and I was excited to ask you on the podcast. And the question is, do you have any?
I just feel like a child because we're wearing hats, and I like it.
Do you have a biggest regret, a recent regret?
I know we've asked each other this question before. The biggest regret?
No, not the biggest. A regret that maybe is something recent.
Has to be recent?
No, it should be whatever. It can be something more profound.
I'm
or
very
not.
regretful that I didn't try to do the lampoon when I was at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
It was a disastrous miss.
Wow.
It's the comedic literary magazine at Harvard that's very reputable.
Did you know yet
I
that
didn't.
you were
No, I didn't, and I also didn't even know really what it was.
Yeah.
Until I was a senior, at which point it was out of reach because you sort of have to try a couple times typically to get in.
Yeah.
And prove yourself. And I didn't think I had time. I didn't get it. I didn't know what it was. But if I had done that, the professional network that provides to comedians is better than any other.
Better than Groundlings even.
Yeah, it's better than anything else.
Yeah.
It truly is, as far as writing. And Conan O'Brien was the president. Colin Jost was the president, I think. I mean, it just is, you can't find a writing room of a hit comedy TV show that doesn't have at least one or two
Lampoon people.
Lampoon alums.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good one.
That was a bummer. I used to look out my window at it. It was right across the street. They have a castle. It's really cool.
Did he even tickle you? Were you like, I wonder, I could maybe do that?
Not really. I just didn't. I didn't know that I wanted to be a comedian. I didn't.
Yeah. I didn't then either.
I didn't think that's where I was headed. So
I remember watching comedy as a kid and kind of being like, oh man, that would be fun. I could maybe do that. I don't know. Low probability.
yeah.
I was like, whatever. And then, here we are.
I thought I was fucking with myself when I said that that's what I was going to pursue after college.
Really?
I thought I was just a joke. I thought I was being a really stupid.
Interesting.
And then here we are all these years later.
Wearing backwards hats.
Yeah, really doing well. What about you? Recent regrets?
Okay, I have a very specific one. When I lived uptown with that generous family who allowed me to stay over, all the people who worked in the house spoke Spanish, and I regret not just speaking to them in Spanish every day and learning Spanish. It would have literally been the best way.
Would it have been that simple?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not, but it would have had to. I would sit there and be like, whatever, and then they'd be like, no, you say it like this. And before you know it, dude, 5 years of seeing them every day, I bet you I would have learned Spanish.
Okay, but here's the thing. 5 years? Yeah.
I lived there for 5 years.
People say that if you're in a total immersion situation, that it's easier to pick up languages, and that's obviously true.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about how young children can pick up foreign languages much more easily than adults, and I think that's also true. But I think the reason that young children can pick up languages so much more easily is because, one, they are in a complete immersion situation, right? If you think about an infant that is learning English and the fact that it only takes them
2 seconds,
3 years. I guess if you brought an English-speaking child who was 6 years old to France and then immersed them with French, they might be able, they'd have it pretty quick.
Yeah.
But what's happening to that child is someone is pointing to a ball and going, ball, fork,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in class
right
through their life.
For years. No, totally.
I don't know that the maids at the house you were living at are going to be willing to speak to you as though you're a child.
No, I think that they would have liked it. I knowing them as well as I do.
Don't you think it'd be annoying for them to all of a sudden have to become your teachers?
I actually don't think. I had good relationships with a couple of them. Fabio was one of the guys. Mina. Those two specifically.
But they're not teaching you how to conjugate verbs.
Doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck about any of that. You kind of I don't need to learn how to write it perfectly. I want to be able to see Spanish speaking person, speak Spanish to them. And the conjugation thing will sort of fall into line. And granted, maybe I'll need to refine as I go, but I feel like that is just the most solid. Hillary could fucking conjugate every single word in Spanish. Throw her in Spain, she probably wouldn't be able to crush it.
See, this is where I think and I've said this before, people have a vast underestimation of the ease with which one can pick up a foreign language.
I think you're right, but it just requires commitment. Like it's something you sort of have to tend to regularly, and most people just aren't willing to put in the time. I agree, it's like doable. But case in point, me not willing to try. Granted, the idea didn't pop into my head, but even if I had the idea, chances that I could stick to it probably pretty low. Has to be a top priority, I feel.
I agree. I think it has to be something you'd get paid for. If you were hired to work on a movie that required you to speak Spanish, you could learn it.
Yeah, maybe, man. I don't know, but I just know, dude. Me and Fabio would chop it up, bro, and he would love to help me with this. I think. And even I think Mina would. Mina and I like each other.
Fabio was your boy, huh?
Fabio was my boy. There's Alvaro. Anyway, I don't know. It would have been nice. I would have enjoyed speaking Spanish well. Not that it would have happened automatically. Chris, what's up?
I have a funny side tangent. Ever since moving here, I'd say about 6 or 7 times, Spanish people just walk up to me and start speaking Spanish.
Really?
They are so disappointed when I speak to them back in English.
Do you look Spanish?
I guess. Well, it's only when I have a beard, I've realized. So when I have a beard, maybe without these, and I don't know. But
here's another tangent.
Okay.
I don't think you need to say side tangent. I think tangent implies to the side of something. So those two words are redundant. Do you know what a tangent is in geometry?
No.
I think it's, let's say you had a circle. I think a tangent to that circle would be a line that is next to that circle, but that does not touch the circle. It's either that or it is the line that is the circle sits on. So there would be one intersection point, but it's not one that would go through multiple parts of the circle. That would be a secant.
Gotcha.
I think.
It just touches.
Just touches?
Just touches.
That's a tangent. Yeah.
So now what you just did to me, what is that? Is that a side tangent because you're going off my tangent?
No. Side tangent, I could just be saying I wasn't even really providing a tangent. I was providing a clarification.
Initially.
But you're saying
But
side
you've now
tangent.
gone on a tangent about geometry, right?
This is a tangent.
Okay.
It certainly is.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you check on secant as well?
Yeah.
Is a secant one that goes through both two different parts of the circle?
So
Believe that it is.
Here's the question though, because Chris is not immediately always part of the conversation. Chris does come in on the side. Technically, could you argue that it is in fact a side tangent because it's a tangent that's occurring
Ridiculous.
to the side?
Ridiculous.
Is that ridiculous?
We don't need to be those guys.
I'm just wondering.
You could have said that
We're
I've
no
got
one.
an aside, an aside,
Oh.
or a tangent.
Yeah.
Side note, I have a tangent.
I just feel like, I don't know. To me, that's like saying, can I apologize and say I'm sorry?
It's very
To
silly.
me, that's what that
This
means. It's you
it's
just,
very
one or the other is
silly.
fine.
is very silly.
The
It is
secant intersects
Fun.
two distinct points.
Look
in
at
a
that.
circle.
Yeah.
So you were correct there.
This guy on fuegs, as they would say in the kitchen of Julio's old home.
They would.
On fuego.
Fuego.
Yeah.
Dude, my parents are currently in Jackson Hole and their minds are being fucking blown.
Come on.
Dude,
The Mecca.
Dude, I'm not kidding you that their like favorite activity is just driving around where we live. And while it's pretty, you can't really compare the sheer
No.
like size and just like the nature out west is just its own thing. If
It
you've never
really
seen
is.
it.
It really is.
And they'll call me and be like, "Hey, guess what?" And I'll be like, "What?" They'll be like, "We saw a chipmunk." And I'll be like, "Wow, guys, that's so great!" Like sometimes I feel like I'm talking to little children. What? How was your day at school? We saw a chipmunk. Oh wow, cool.
Is it really chipmunk? Is
Bro,
that
I'm
what
not
they're-
exaggerating. Or if there's literally been 7,000 deer in our backyard, and
Yeah.
since they've owned that house, I will get pictures or videos of them still.
Uh-huh.
Their minds are just blown. These city dweller kids grew up and moved to the country. How impressed they are by every single development in nature.
Great.
We've talked about this. So I've been so excited for them.
I love
And
that.
even as they were on the drive from Salt Lake City to Jackson Hole, which I had sort of recommended, they were getting so excited well before the Tetons were even in sight.
I believe it.
And today they're actually in the Grand Tetons, and I actually just got a call from them. And I bet that when they actually end up calling it, they're going to be quite excited.
Wow. What would you do if they called and said, we've decided to move out here. We're living out here.
I'd be happy for them.
That'd give you mean you could go visit your parents in Jackson Hole?
True, but I can just visit Jackson Hole anyway. I'd prefer them just being
You'd
living close
you'd
by.
have a yearly reason, if not even more, maybe even twice
true.
yearly to
That's
go
true.
to Jackson Hole.
That is true. That is true. I prefer them living close by, though. Realistically,
You see your parents a lot.
yeah, I do.
That's
I do.
great.
It's nice. I would say it's not like insane though. I see them, and I see them in an amount that's appropriate. It's funny. Hillary is starting to learn the Italian way when like my parents will be like, "Oh, why don't you guys stay longer? Oh, you're leaving." She like takes it literally sometimes, and she's like, "Oh, are they disappointed?" I'm like, "No, dude. This is just like what they do. That's them showing that they love us. They don't expect us to actually stay more.
Right.
They don't. My dad would be like, "Can you guys move in with us?" Like he won't actually say that, but he'd be like, "Oh, you're leaving. You got to stay longer, man."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dad, we're leaving," and yeah, Hillary like doesn't realize that he's not serious. Like he is, but it's ceremonial.
Yes.
I want you guys to know that it would be nice if you were here at all times,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we love you. You know,
I like that.
it's almost like, "Oh, you didn't finish your food. You don't like it." Or if you do finish, you had to have more. No, please. Well, you don't like my food? No, I love your food. Ah, come on. That whole thing. It's the same fucking shit. Chris knows it well. They want to shackle you. Not actually, but they would like it if you were chained in their garage so that you didn't have to leave.
I like that.
And then sometimes when I leave, I become emotional when I leave the house.
Really?
And Hillary will look and she'll be like, "Let it out."
Do you cry?
Sometimes I just get a little emotional leaving home. And
That's so nice.
it's nice.
What a
And
nice thought.
and and then Hillary also will kind of be like, maybe next time we can stay longer. And I'll be like, it's not about the length of time. It's about the act of leaving.
Yeah.
I could have been here for 5 years and then be leaving and potentially still have the same.
I would think it'd be
reaction.
worse if you were there for
could be.
5 years and then left.
So she's learning about this stuff and it's fun. And she's been, she's really a good sport. And not that she enjoys coming up to visit and stuff. I mean good sport in like just learning what the deal is, our 2-card policy still makes me laugh pretty hard though. That she will never just sign the bottom of a card that I've written because of how bad my handwriting is. She think it misrepresents her. So we both wrote these like very sentimental cards to my parents separately.
That's
for their anniversary.
I like that.
And that is sort of the policy, unfortunately, because of my chicken scratch. I never got better than a C as a handwriting grade.
Don't
know
you
what it
think
is.
that handwriting is simply a matter of caring?
Can we try? I'm going to try really hard to write good and we'll see. But we'll also see how long it takes. Because I'll tell you this, it's going to take me longer.
Probably the drawer.
It's going to take me longer to write something decent, and we'll see how decent it ends up being, in fact.
Go ahead, root around. There's all kinds of shit.
No. Oh, there's a Post-it. This is just setting myself up for failure here. But I can do
Now,
it in the
while
back.
you're doing that, Julio,
Yes, Francis.
here's something. So one time when I was in college, you know the term a thinking cap? Put your thinking
yes,
cap
I do.
on?
I do.
I sort of decided that by wearing a hat while I did my homework, essays, I was actually wearing
A thinking
a
cap?
thinking cap. I was wearing a hat that would help me focus. It would produce better work. Something about having the brim over my eyes and kind of creating this tunnel vision to my computer screen or whatever book I was reading.
How old are you?
This was probably 19 or 20 years old, something like that.
What a fun exercise.
And ever since we put these hats on, I sort of told myself, this is my thinking cap. And now I'm thinking that whatever we're saying is smarter because we're wearing the hats.
It's fun to employ fun games to tasks that are slightly unpleasant.
Speaking of fun games, fun game is put 4 boys in a room together and see if one of them can find anything to write with.
Or
Because
anything in general,
we
dude.
can't. We're so used to asking the cute girl in our class, do you have an extra pen I could borrow? and them being like, I'm never going to get this back, am I? You're like, no, I promise you will. Then you spend the whole class chewing it to a nub, and you're like, I can't give this back to her. So you think you're going to buy her a new pack, but you never do. 'Cause her dad's a dentist, so she can afford it.
Hillary has taught me about looking carefully because I'll be like, I can't find so and so. She's like, she knows.
Keep talking. You guys, I'm going to go get. All right. You want me to give you a sentence to write?
Oh yeah, Hillary says like, chances are I try to look everywhere all at once instead of slowly and carefully looking in each place. And I always worry sometimes, like if I botch that process, is that going to be a turnoff? I'm always worried about exuding qualities that are going to find to be turnoffs.
Gosh, I'm surprised that you feel that way. One, because I know her and I know her to be very cool and not super high maintenance in terms of what she expects from you.
She's wonderful.
She doesn't expect perfection from you. And
she rolls with the punches of my quirkiness.
Two, you guys have been together so long that I would have thought you would have had that peace of mind as well.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, give me a sentence.
Give me all right, here we go. Let's say,
is that the part of the
no,
beginning?
No.
Okay.
The lions in Kenya are hungry.
Okay, and real
for
quick,
meat.
Okay, the lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
Yeah.
Do I have to keep the words within the lines of the note card?
Dude, Howard. In fact, don't.
Oh,
Would you rather have lines or no?
I don't actually know. Let's just flip it over.
Yeah, the lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
Okay, for the record, I am writing on a note card on the back of a
Why don't you just hop to the desk
of
for
a
a
thick,
second?
soft cover book. Shall I lean forward and do
just
it?
hop to the desk, swap seats with Chris.
Okay.
You deserve a desk.
Chris in the hot seat.
Use
Gallerati
the table.
in the desk.
It's got a nice green leather sort of surface that is nice and soft. Take it off the book. Take it off the book. So Julio, as we speak, is now going to write, the lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
I swear that I'm not trying to do, I'm going to try my best to do this as best as I possibly can.
Okay. But
There's
you want to just try to do it the way that you normally would? When you write a thank you card or a happy anniversary card?
Let's do both.
Are you trying when you write those or not really?
I try as much as anyone else does. So I do it fairly quickly, but I'm not doing it faster than anyone else, if that makes sense.
All right.
So why don't we try both ways? I'll do very, very carefully, and I'll do it normal. I'll warm up with the normal version, and then I will switch to the...
Fine.
Okay.
Good.
Chris, there you go.
The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
So this is what it's like here.
Yeah. The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
Huh.
They pick it apart with their claw-bearing feet. They hunt in a pack. They scour and gather. They maul and they bite.
Okay. So, Francis, sorry to Francis
Mouth in a lather.
I'm sorry to interrupt that beautiful poem. It was quite good.
I like poems about animals.
It kind of sounded like the beginning of Typhoid Mary. Have you heard Typhoid Mary?
No. Just tell me about Typhoid Mary.
You haven't heard about Typhoid? Okay. So I just wrote the first version, and now for the record, to clarify, let's see how long it takes me to write the second version and decide whether or not that's an acceptable time to be taking to write out a sentence. And yeah.
Okay,
here you go. So starting right now.
The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat. They tear and they claw, their claw-bearing feet. They chew and they bite. They taste and they smile. They know they might not eat again for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
Done.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look.
Lions
here.
in Kenya are hungry. So how long did that take me, would you say?
You did both. You did 2 times.
No. This is okay.
You just wrote it once?
The second time I took, I from when I said I'm starting to when I said I'm done is how long it took, however long that is. So you guys listening I think it took me probably, 20, 30 seconds
Yeah, it was a normal pace of writing.
Okay. You thought the second time was a normal pace of writing?
I was having a hard time keeping track because I was focusing on my poem.
Okay, here are the two passes. The first being the casual one, the second being it just took my time. I felt like that was longer than one should be taking to write a sentence.
Dude, this is totally fine.
Is it?
I'm sorry, but neither of these are childish or unimpressive. These are. I was expecting unreadable, illegible handwriting.
Okay.
When you talked about,
Good.
yeah,
Is it?
when you talk about
Are you
having
guys
really
serious?
bad handwriting,
Are you guys fucking with me?
no, not at all, man. You know who's been fucking with you is Hilda.
Yeah.
Okay, in Hill Dog's defense, everybody my whole life has told me I write chicken scratch and that it's like very unsophisticated
all.
handwriting.
The unsophisticated to me is handwriting you cannot read
Okay.
because it's such a mess.
Yeah. The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat.
I can't say that give me this. Give me the pen. I can't say that mine's gonna be much better. Give me the book. Yeah.
This is a fun.
So not even really trying.
The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat. To eat the meat, they all must meet at a watering hole filled with other friends. Will they be friends, or will those friends meet their end? The lions in Kenya are hungry for meat. I would say Francis is a little better than mine.
Still not.
Yeah, yours is better than mine. Mine is. Yeah, I think the second time I wrote looks significantly better. It still looks a little kind of like I'm palming the pen.
Oh, did you hold it like a
No,
trucker
of
holds a
course
fork?
Of course not.
No? Okay.
I held it, you know.
All right. I don't have any problem with this. If I received a thank you note from you or a congratulatory note from you in that handwriting, I would not think, my God, Julio is stuck in 6th grade.
Dude, that's so fun.
Here you go, Chris.
Chris, here's
Chris
your
is
book.
reading The
Chris
Godfather.
is reading The Godfather. What a fun endeavor.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Parents losing their shit in Jackson Hole. It's really a nice, what a good activity for people who like driving around and seeing the view. Because, you know, the national parks, okay, Frederick Law Olmsted, fun fact.
yeah. Designer of the Central Park.
He's a landscape architect.
Yes. He also did, didn't he do Prospect Park? And then he
Really?
did the Chicago World's Fair,
Wow.
the turn of the century.
He sort of is the pioneer of that practice or whatever. Designed many national parks, and in fact, his home in Massachusetts is its own national park site, and it's very interesting.
That's cool.
Set up in a cool house. Yeah, I've been. So anyway, the idea of like landscape architecture is really well employed in the national parks specifically when it comes to a proper national park. And just driving around is so incredible and so much different than driving around outside of the thing. Because sometimes you'll be leading up to the park and you'll be like, wow, this is so sick. But the thing that always blows my mind is once you're within the actual boundaries of the park itself, how fucking sick it is, dude. So I'm pretty gassed up for the parents, for them to give me an update.
What's the big national park out there? Grand Teton?
The Grand Teton, and just due north is Yellowstone, and the road between the two is its own national park unit.
Wow.
But yeah, those are the two big parks, and they are both spectacular.
Pretty great.
If you've never been, you got to make it a high priority.
Mhm.
Especially, you know, people out west sort of like know about this shit already, and I just never did until I did my first road trip and got to see all these places for the first time.
What do you think of rodeos?
I don't know, to be honest.
Have you ever been to one?
They seem rather rambunctious.
They sure are.
You know, I don't like jerking. I don't like jerking. I don't like seeing people be jerked. And it seems like it just seems like such a violent, high risk activity. It reminds me of jet skiing. Because I'm just kind of like, what's the point of doing this like this?
Well, there are lots of elements within a rodeo. we think probably of the bucking bronco
Oh,
or
that's
the
on-
bull
yeah.
riding.
So I didn't realize that bucking bronco isn't all that a rodeo is.
No, there
else is the
are
rodeo?
there's calf roping.
Oh, that's fun.
There's the obstacle course riders.
Okay,
There's
I take it back.
tons of different things.
I didn't know what it entailed. Thank you for the clarification.
I went to one when we were out west when I was a kid, and
Was
I'll
fun?
tell you what, it was great.
I'd like to see it. It gives me anxiety.
It's
But
quite a spectacle.
The bucking bronco gives me anxiety. Everything else I'm open to.
Yeah, but it's
Assuming
it's-
it's fairly
it's-
humane.
it's one of those funny things and weird things where you know that the risk of injury is extremely high, and you think of people being kicked in the face and gored and
Yeah,
breaking their
jeez.
necks and stuff, and you just think that you hear about that happening a lot, so you think that that happens every time. But when you go, so often these rodeo riders have this innate ability to dismount from the bucking horse or the bucking bull and kind of land in a very acrobatic way on the ground.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So I also take back what I said about the jet ski. A bucking bronco and a jet ski don't actually have much in common, because in a jet ski you can choose to go slower. I'll jet ski with friends. I've only done it maybe twice in my life, but I was very concerned at how quickly my friends were driving their jet skis,
Mm.
knowing how many accidents occur. And these are the high risk activities that we're for some reason not afraid of.
Yeah.
I'm so interested about this, about the perception of fear and what makes one fearful and what one should be fearful of.
What do you fear?
Uh,
on a kind of chemical level.
so
I'm not talking about, I fear that nobody will love me when I die, or
no,
nothing
okay,
like
okay.
that.
So I too fear
Palms sweat?
unlikely scenarios. Like, I fear the idea of traveling and someday getting captured or something, and then not being able to speak to my loved ones for a long period of time.
Okay, I think
But that's not a thing that would stop me, because I know how low risk that is.
yeah. Let's
Or-
back up.
or
I want to ask
unlikely.
you a different. I'm asking a slightly different question.
Okay.
My question is, what is something you fear where, when it happens, you instantly are fearful, not a potential for
Okay,
something
so
to happen?
something that's currently happening and now I'm scared.
For me, let's say heights or bears or
Okay.
poisoning.
Driving too fast scares me.
Oh,
When people drive too fast, I'm scared. And especially when it's a situation where I'm with a person who likes to drive fast. So when people are driving too fast, I get scared. And especially if it's like a hired person, like say I'm working a job and I'm being picked up from the airport, and the person begins to drive fast because they're like, I need to get him there on time. I sometimes will be like, can you please drive slower?
that's interesting. It's so rare for me to have someone who's been hired to drive me somewhere drive like that, unless it's a taxi driver or an Uber driver, I guess. Usually not Uber drivers. I had a taxi driver once who brought me to the airport in a van, and it was an old taxi van. And he drove in a way where I was thinking I should call or text people I loved and just say, I don't know if this is going to go the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, listen, like driving recklessly claims a lot of lives.
Would you say something to someone?
Yeah. I say, could you please drive slower? I'm scared.
Uh-huh.
Dude, saying I'm scared has gotten me out of trouble before by being like, one time I hopped the turnstile. I was going to visit my GF at the time in school. She went to school in Rhode Island. I didn't have any money. And the $2.50 that I would be saving would somehow actually make some kind of a difference.
Yeah.
And I hopped the turnstile and I got caught by the police, and they started grilling me and asking me questions, and I was shaking a little bit. And the guy goes, why are you shaking? And I said, I'm scared, sir. Immediately let me go.
Oh, man.
This guy's learned his lesson.
Yeah.
I'm scared, sir.
That's pretty good.
Sometimes if you tap into being a little bitch, you can get away with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't faking it, though. I was in fact scared.
I believe it.
I was being interrogated by the law enforcement officers who had guns, and they were intimidating, and they were waiting for me.
What is driving too fast for you? Let's say that the speed limit on the highway is 65 miles an hour. What's too fast for you? Where you're no longer comfortable?
88.
Yeah.
I don't like fast acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like heavy braking.
88's right on the border for me. If
Yeah.
you see 90 on the speedometer
Cut it out.
with someone you're driving with, I think, why? Why would you drive this fast?
Hillary's father once said, "It is not a time machine."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any real problem with 85. And a lot of that too comes down to how smooth and powerful the car is. Because 85 in a certain car can feel like 75 in a different car.
Interesting.
We had an old Prius that
Yeah.
was pretty beat to shit. And if you went to 85 in that car,
Forget about it.
you thought the wheels were going to come off. It
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
unsafe.
Yeah.
Whereas 85 in a Porsche feels like 50.
A little more chill, yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm a little bitch when it comes to driving too fast. And
Interesting.
Yeah, dude, actually, this is weird. This is a pretty weird story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I apologize to anybody listening who feels uncomfortable because of this. I remember when I got my driver's license, the first day I had my driver's license, I began driving. I just drove really fast on one road. It's a back road. There's nobody around, but I drove too fast. And I got to the point where I started to get excited by the speed,
Uh-huh.
something that did not become addictive by any capacity. But then I began to get this huge boner.
It's not where I
will
thought
never
that was
forget
going.
it. I swear,
A
dude.
fear boner?
I don't know what it was.
Adrenaline boner.
Adrenaline boner? Is that a thing?
Probably.
Anyway, it really stood out. Speed
Yeah,
does not
pun
excite
intended.
me. Yeah. Speed does not excite me.
Mhm.
And that has not become an addicting feeling by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm.
But yeah, speed boner. That's it. But dude, I don't know. Other things that are scary. I mean, Hill Dog having an anaphylactic reaction to nuts is
Mhm.
very scary.
Mm-hmm.
I picture this scenario where my little fucking sweet angel can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm holding her as she takes her last breaths or something.
Damn.
That is terrifying. But fortunately, we have the EpiPen and we've been able to get to the hospital anytime it's happened, and we continue to be vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
But scenarios like that where if it were to happen, your life is going to be very difficult to maintain the same level of quality.
Yeah.
Tragedy,
Tragedy's
things that could have
tough.
been tragedy that could have been prevented.
Yeah.
These are things that scare me a bit. What about you? I get scared by turbulence. Doesn't make any sense. I know that it doesn't mean anything, but I still
Yeah.
get scared, and I grip the seat a bit harder.
Yeah. I
And
think that's
and I
pretty
sit
normal.
up and I tighten my seatbelt, and I try to hold it together, and I go, hopefully that was the worst bump. I'm like, that has to be the worst bump, but don't think that, because they're going to be worse. And you feel that pre-rumble, the little.
Yeah.
I don't like any
you know
of that.
something that bothers me, and this is not something I fear, but what bothers me is when the captain comes on and lets everyone know we're heading into some rough air for a while, and then the rough air doesn't come.
Oh, I hate that too. We're gonna have a little bit of chop over Minnesota, but other than that, should be smooth sailing into New York,
Yeah.
where the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius.
I would so much rather hit rough air and then have them be like, okay, guys, we're in rough air. They don't need to preempt us, because then I'm just waiting for it the whole time.
Yeah, I feel
I
you.
don't
feel you.
need to know.
Anticipation is always worse.
Right.
Even when you're in some sort of crisis state, I find that I typically am very, very focused, too much to even really think about the potential outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps that's a hero's mind, Francis. So yeah, I don't. But thinking about how to deal with it, being scared of something happening, these are all things that sort of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of things that I fear. I think I fear crazy people a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
When we were at the stand last night and someone let out a
Oh yeah,
bellow,
we both reacted.
and all of us ducked our heads.
Yep,
Guy was across the street.
totally.
any sort of totally unpredictable, unruly person. I don't like that.
Dude, yeah, I'm always on bogey alert, and when
Mm.
I see one, I make sure that I quickly get at least 3 arms lengths away, so that if they were to make up the distance with some kind of quick and dynamic movement. So, dude, crackheads really are quick, man. They really somehow they're surviving. So they have the ability to cut that distance in half. But 3 arms lengths, you're good enough that even if you're slower than them, you can react and get away.
They're surviving. Dynamic movements of those crackheads, the Barry Sanders of drug addicts.
Of the streets, dude.
Yeah, I don't like that. I fear. I've said this before, but I fear that my brain will not connect with my actions. So I'll be on the precipice of a cliff, and I'll sort of go up to the edge and look over, and then my brain will just malfunction and tell me jump off.
And you feel what it would feel like to jump in that moment.
And I say, well, what is even preventing that from happening? I know how to jump. I know how to take another step forward. It almost feels as though jumping or taking another step forward would be easier than the amount of brain power it takes to not do that thing.
Yeah, it's really it really is a mind fuck. And my whole life, I would sort of think about what if I took my teddy bear and threw him out the window into the street. I could do that.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I don't know.
Right.
I wouldn't. But what if I did?
I fear hitting a child while I'm driving.
Oh God! And
then they're gonna just jump out.
And you later find their steaming remains in the grill of your car.
Steaming? Jeez Louise! Jeez Louise!
That's so dark.
The steaming remains?
Dude, there's nothing worse at the beginning of a movie when like you see a little kid playing along the side of the road and cars whipping by. You're like, that kid is getting fucking
the ball
crushed.
Bounces out there.
Yeah, I think Pet Cemetery, I believe that happens. And you're like, oh God, this is just terrible.
I fear that.
But dude, I encourage you all to be less fearful in general, because the anticipation really is the worst part, man. It's like a lot of the time there's nothing to be scared. Isn't there that famous quote? We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah,
kind of true.
You want to hear one more thing I fear?
Yes, of course, Francis.
For all the talk we do about being a hero and wanting to be a hero, I have now experienced enough moments in my life where, and this is going to sound, I don't know, I hate to sound a little arrogant here, but I actually do go towards the trouble.
You seek it,
and I as to stop it, to fix it. I've broken up fights between strangers in the street on multiple occasions,
and even in comedy clubs.
Did I?
Yeah. The hecklers, you got in between them and the manager. Right. Hey guys, let's cool it, huh? We're all friends here.
And I've done this enough times, where I just don't, in those moments, I don't have fear. And I don't know that I'm going into them as carefully as I should. And I'm not considering the bad outcomes that could happen.
Well, that's a good thing to be in touch with.
And I'm afraid that I will, in the melee of whatever I'm trying to sort, I will get got. I will get stabbed.
Oh God.
In the kidney. That's a fear of mine.
I'm scared of that. I'm scared of being stabbed. I had another one I don't remember.
They're not vainglorious things that I'm not doing it for the glory. We joke about that.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the things that I've actually done to fix problems or moments where I thought that injustice was happening and that I could do something about it, most of the time when that's been the case, nobody's been around to see it or film it. Stakes have been low.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Do I believe that much in being a citizen of the world? Yeah. I don't know. I just can't watch it happen.
Yeah, I feel
I
you.
can't watch it happen. It has to be stopped. And if you don't do something, then the person's going to get really hurt. And
Yeah.
that's not right.
I would agree. I agree with that.
Anyway, that's something I fear.
Good talk.
I fear dying early.
Mm,
Do you?
sometimes. Other times, not so much. I prefer not to. But I'll be dead. And I won't even fucking know.
What is it that you want to do? What's the must-do thing? What haven't you done that if you died tomorrow, the first thing you would say is, fuck, I didn't have time. I didn't get that done. I didn't do that in my life.
Be a dad.
Yeah, it's number one.
That's up there. And it visit every national park unit.
Yeah.
Also, would be nice to visit, every country for the sake of, that's just a very basic benchmark saying that you've covered most of the world. You could obviously get more specific. And every country, no, with no tricks, no stepping over the border or landing in the airport and counting that. Spending quality time everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Probably those three things.
Man, I think retiring would be really fun.
I don't. It's interesting you say that. This is a good thing to discuss.
I think retirement's going to be awesome.
I don't want to retire. But
Well,
I think there's different ways to look at it.
You could do a semi-retirement.
So, but let's say that when you're retired, there's a chance you'll still be doing something. Like to me, if I'm quote retired, but now you're the head of some charity, you're not retired. You're doing shit still. Just because you've retired from your original thing doesn't make you retired. And I have some like friends whose parents are a little older or ex-girlfriends whose parents are a little older, and seeing them continue to work and seeing how youthful it keeps them is something that's interesting to examine. Seeing how this sort of hustle and that lifestyle of like being busy, doing shit can, in a way, I know it can run you down also, but it can also kind of keep you young.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these people are bouncing around like they're 20, 30 years younger than they really are. And it impresses me. So I think it would be fun to get old. And it's funny also because, dude, all right, our pal Peter Fowler turned 24 today, actually.
Wow.
24th birthday. And I was like, happy birthday. And he's like, I don't know, dude. I hate my birthday. I'm like, why? He's like, I'm getting old, And I'm like, bro, just so you know, I'm 12 years older than you. And I like being this age.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sucks being your age, dude. You're fucking, not him specifically, but like people in that age group are typically poor, disorganized, disgusting. They can't take care of themselves. That sucks, dude. My 20s sucked.
Agreed.
I'm enjoying my 30s way more.
30s
I look forward to
the
learning.
bomb,
I look
dude.
forward to learning more shit and hopefully living a nice long life. And if I didn't, you know what? I tried to be as dynamic and let's actually do it as possible.
Yeah. I think if people say that they wish they were still in their 20s and not in their 30s, it's almost because they went too hard in their 20s and didn't set themselves up for their 30s.
Yeah, I wonder what would make one say that. What's so good? What could possibly have been so good about your 20s?
Just not caring about anything, not having any responsibility, being able to go from one air mattress to the next, getting fucked up all the time, having
So
hooking up with people everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Spreading your seed.
Just nothing, just no consequences. The land of plenty.
It could also be a thing where there was so much to look forward to potentially. Like you don't know what you're going to end up doing yet. And maybe then you found what you're going to do and you don't like
crazy.
it. And now you don't like it.
That drove me crazy. Not having any clue what I was doing drove me nuts.
Yeah. Also, like not knowing to what degree being a comedian was going to work out.
Yeah.
And fear and sort of seeing examples of people that I was peers with or I knew where I'm like, if I were to end up like this person, I would not be happy type of thing.
Just a decade of uncertainty.
But I could see this scenario for a person who's less happy in their 30s than their 20s. A person who maybe they're like a rich kid or something and they were kind of taking their time to figure it out. And now they're in their 30s and they haven't done shit and their parents don't respect them. And now that's a situation where being in your 30s is worse than your 20s.
Yes.
But I can't think of many. Maybe you're unhappy with the fact that you got married too young and you have a family and you feel trapped and your 20s were more fun. Maybe that's a scenario. There's some scenario. Okay, there are scenarios. But But so far for us, yeah, my 30s have been nice. They've been rich.
Uh-huh.
Meeting Francis has also very much coincided in me to become more successful.
We met when we were hitting our stride.
We'd begun to hit the stride.
We've been
whether or
hitting
not
the
we knew it or
stride.
not.
Yeah.
The stride is hopefully in the process of being hit, and we are hopefully enjoying ourselves, and we'll continue to, Francis.
That's right.
Yeah.
Big things on the horizon.
Big thing on the horizon, bro.
What do you got? Any emails?
No, I got something. I want to talk about.
You got something?
I thought of something that really impressed me the other day, and I thought I could share it with you and all of you.
I hope you will.
I'm really impressed by the different scents of soaps that do not smell like their description, yet they smell like their description.
All right.
For example, Summer Rain.
Right. So Summer Rain, what does that evoke for you?
I don't know, but somehow this scent smells like summer rain without smelling at all like summer rain.
Summer Rain, to me, instantly my mind goes to a rain on a hot asphalt.
Yeah.
Creating that
That
steamy
scent.
smell.
Steaming scent.
Steameroony.
Steameroony, and the essence of tar. And while it is, of course, a refreshing scent in the moment, it is not a refreshing scent for hand soap.
No.
But somehow,
Nobody wants to wash their hands with wet tar.
this summer rain scent, another one that accurately represents without fresh cut grass.
Ah.
Smells so good in soap form. In real life, smells good in its own way. Again, you don't necessarily want your hands to smell that way.
Instantly, my mind goes to what it feels like to have rolled around shirtless in fresh cut grass, and that
When you break out in hives,
the itchiness. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
The itchiness of rolling around in the grass is so bad. It's inescapable.
I know. And yet they've turned it into this wonderful soap
Well,
scent.
the other thought I have with fresh cut grass is that if it's truly freshly cut, there's probably a residue of gasoline from the lawnmower.
Yeah.
So I'm smelling this mixture of grass and gasoline,
Yeah.
almost like a grassoline.
Oh, grassoline.
Yeah.
The final scent that I wrote down because I wanted to have a few examples. Pear tree. Pear tree, not the pear
tree,
not the pear, but the tree with which the pears are growing upon.
So if you
The
really
trunk of the tree.
buried your nose in a pear tree, you're probably smelling bark
Yeah, exactly.
and wood
Yeah,
and I don't know.
perhaps ants.
I don't know that you're getting that. Yeah, I don't know that you're getting the pear.
Pear tree. Unbelievable.
You might even smell a partridge.
So, is a partridge a bird?
Yeah,
A partridge.
partridge in a pear tree.
The next time you encounter a new scent of soap at a friend's house or whatever, take a look at what that is supposed to be. And I hope you can understand what we're talking about here. Where if it's not something obvious like elderberry or ginger root. Well, actually, ginger root would be a good example. But ginger apricot, where there's actually tangible sense there. If it's something where it doesn't make any sense, see if you see what I'm talking about. I think it's a good one. All right, one more thing here. This is a fun thing. It appears as if Babu and Co. will actually be physically coming to America for this year's New York Comedy Festival. If you guys remember, sort of the video that kind of got me down this rabbit hole of trying to make videos in other places was when I went to Rwanda, did comedy there, made this little video. And then last year for the festival, they sort of zoomed in and did a little Zoom thing, which was nice specifically because of what a novelty it is to have these guys from this fun video now talking to you. This year, they are actually intending to come here if they can get their visas all sorted and all that shit. Kind of hard to visit America. I always kind of forget that. And that'll be so fun. So I'm excited to have them in the mix. They are actually bringing their own camera guy. So it's almost as if it's going to be the reverse project of my original project.
Incredible.
I don't know specifically, but I don't know if all of them have ever been here. It's unclear to me. I don't think Babu's been here.
Okay.
I don't know about the other guys, but anyway, I think that's such a fun, cool thing.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited to have them in the mix.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. All right. All right. Fucking right.
Hell yeah. Oh, fucking right.
All
right.
right. Welcome to
Um,
Babu and Co.
So the boys will be in town. I don't know the specifics of that yet, but
Super cool.
I think you guys will have fun if you come through. I don't know. You got anything else, Ryan?
Facts with Ryan?
FWR. Were we lying?
We got a couple today. Okay, so we were talking about speeding cars, and instantly I thought of the smart car, the tiny little car.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was curious how fast it could go.
Oh,
How
I'm
fast
very
do you
curious
think
about this.
it could go?
Oof.
Like what's on the speedometer?
Yeah,
I
the
say
maximum
100 miles an hour.
I would have said 160.
Okay, 96.
Wow.
And I just thought it was, it's funny.
Wow.
Think about that going 96
Yeah.
miles an hour.
Dun, 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 dun,
I would not
dun.
feel safe in there.
Yes.
And then it should be noted that erections aren't just about sexual arousal. Many men experience reflex erections, which can happen when a man is nervous, scared, angry, or under stress.
Or learning math in 4th grade, sitting at his desk.
I wish that were the case. I just smell bad under stress.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. That was
Yeah.
very, very good. Francis, what do you got?
Greenville and Charlotte, North Carolina, September 29th to the 31st. Tickets to that are available at francisellis.com. It would be a joy to see you there.
Cool. I'll see you tonight at the stand. Thank to everyone who bought tickets. Really psyched about that. There will be some surprise guests, as you already potentially know. October 20th, Evening Muse in Charlotte, North Carolina. And some more stuff coming up.